front pattern. I'm not going to add allowance. This is how it's going to be. When I'm cutting the fabric, then I'll add ½ inch allowance all over. So this is how our front pattern of trouser is going to be. You can see it's not hard. It's not hard at all. It's a very simple logic. Now let me go over to it again. I said to determine the amount of fabric that you are going to use. To determine the amount of fabric you are going to use, you will divide your tie by 2, then add 1 inches. Now the side measurement I made use of is 24 inches. 24 inches divided by 2 is 12 inches. 12 inches plus 1 is 13 inches. That is the amount of fabric I will be needing. I am having 13 inches here. So it's 13 inches I rule down here. So 13 inches is the amount of fabric I will be needing. So after I've gotten the amount of fabric I need, the next thing I did was to get my crotch depth. Now, the crotch depth is your hip divided by 4. Your hip measurement divided by 4. The hip measurement that I'm using is 36 inches. 36 inches divided by 4 is 9 inches. 9 inches plus 1, 10 inches. That is what I used. So this is 10 inches. Then my new measurement is 20 inches. I measured. This is my 20 inches. Now, in order for you to get your hip line, which is here, the hip line is whatever you use for your crotch depth is what you are going to use for your hip line. So this is our hip line here. This is our hip line. So I use 10 inches for my crotch depth from here to here. 10 inches from here to here. Crotch depth 10 inches. This is what I use from here to here, 10 inches. Then for my hip, which is from here, from my hip measurement from here to here, I also make use of 10 inches. That is my hip line. So whatever I use for your crotch depth, you use for your hip line too. Then your crotch extension, which is from your hip line to where your tie is going to start. From where your tie is going to start, it's 20 is your hip measurement divided by 12. Now my hip measurement divided by 12 is 3 inches. 3 inches. So it's 3 inches and I minus ½ inch, which is 2.5. So I made use of 2.5. Then I connect it. So this is the connection. So after doing that, we determine our waist. Now when you want to measure your waist, you don't start your waist from here, from this your crease line. You don't start your waist from. You start your waist from your hip line. This is your hip line. That is where you start your waist from. So from here, your waist divided by 4. That is what you are going to get here. Then you connect it. You connect it. Now, if you are too convinced that your hip, you don't want to make mistake, you can decide to rule out your hip line. I measure 7 inches, right? So I can decide to rule it out, rule it in a straight line like this, and I know my hip. That is where my hip is going to start. But it's not really necessary. If you already know the length, the measurement for your hip, which is 7 inches, and you just mark it, then you connect it to where it stops. So there's no need of you start ruling all the line. So this is just the basic, the measurement. Then for you to determine your nail, you measure your nail. Mine is 16 inches. 16 inches divided by 2 inches is 8 inches. 8 inches. I took 4 inches on both sides. 4 inches here, 4 inches here. Then the floor length, which is 10 inches, divided by 2 is 5. 2.5 here, 2.5 here, which is 5 inches. So this is just how the front pattern is going to look like. So there is no really big deal for the front pattern. And as I say, you can decide to add your measurement if you want to add. If you want that in your front trouser, you can add 1 inch. Instead of making use of 6.5, you can use 7.5 inches. So you hold in half inch your front pattern. So this is basically how to cut the front pattern. So I will start cutting.